Hello, I am Lise Colucci, and I'm one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello, everybody, and welcome. How's everyone doing today? Go ahead and say hello so I can see who's here. Hi, Nikki Ann. How are you doing today? So we're going to talk about anxiety today and all the good stuff that goes around anxiety and why it's caused by these toxic people. Hi, Life's Revival. And Elena, is it Alana? Alana, sorry. And Belle, hello. Okay, it's done. Okay, good. Now we can go. All right, so if you have not already hit subscribe to this channel, please do subscribe and you will get notifications. Hit the notification button and please hit the thumbs up if you like this topic. If you would like notifications of when I go live sent directly to you through text me at 33222 and put the words Lise Live, Liselive, all one word, and I will send you that text only about 10 minutes prior to going live. Anyway, so let's get going. So today let's talk about anxiety. Two things with anxiety. One is, why does it happen with narcissistic abuse? What is causing it? And what can we do to help with the anxiety? So that's two different sides to this, right? Okay, so we know that the majority of people who have experienced, or a large majority of people who have experienced narcissistic abuse tend to have anxiety minimally while they're with the narcissist and oftentimes afterwards lingering, right? So, hi, Andy and Angela. So let's look at that. So what is it about a narcissist and what is it about the abuse that creates such anxiety in the survivor? I mean, we could just start naming things if you feel like it. What is it for you? And I'm just going to talk about it. So the fact that the narcissist is all about control. Anytime something's control in your life, right? It's going to create anxiety because it's going against your own ability to act upon your own agency. It's your ability to act upon your own will is being diminished and taken away because somebody is trying to be in control of you, that somebody being a narcissist. So let's look at the different pieces that they apply this control. One would be gaslighting. That's a major one. You know, when you're being gaslit, when they're gaslighting you, it can make you feel like totally confused, make you feel kind of befuddled. It can make you feel defensive. It can make you, disoriented. It makes you forget the point of what you're talking about. It makes you feel crazy, right? That's the whole point behind the tactic, is to push someone off their center so that they can get away with not being accountable to something. Well, all of that, it lends to diminished self-trust. When you have lower self-trust, then your ability to cope with things changes and it creates anxiety, right? It's to work with that one. I'm just going to go through each one and then give you some ideas. If you're still in it, if you're still with a narcissist, hopefully this will help give you some ideas to help calm your anxiety, or at least understand what's going on and why you're feeling so anxious right now when you're dealing with this person. So if your self-trust is diminished, then you can't believe what you see anymore. You know what I'm saying? Your reality and your truth suddenly isn't as accurate as you thought it was because of the gaslighting. You know it's right, you know what's gone on, but part of you is pulled into the gaslighting even when you know it's happening. So, I mean, obviously the obvious answer there would be to gray rock, right? To gray rock the gaslighting as much as you can and to really hold on internally that your truth is true. You know what happened, and everything that else is happening, everything that's going on in this conversation is a lie through gaslighting. And to maintain that you, within yourself, that you know your truth, right? It's difficult. But writing things down can help, because we do tend to forget what happens because of the gaslighting. So writing it down right directly afterwards can help so that you are able to focus back on what you can trust in yourself. I'm going to read a couple of this here. Lies versus truth. Yes. Always wrong. Yes. That creates anxiety. I was a bit shy, but since the narcissist, I've gradually gotten to the point where I can only go a half mile to the post office, to the PO Therapy is on the phone. If I improve, narcissist abuses me even more. It's a no-win, right? Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. So because they control, they don't allow you to change. This is exactly what you're saying there, right? As soon as you improve, they knock you down even further. They don't allow you to change because they are constantly in need of being in control of you. And any kind of change means they have to adjust their ability to control you, and it becomes too difficult. They like us to be low maintenance, even though they like us to be a little bit squirmy and difficult supply, because they want the supply. They like to have to work for the supply on some level because they like the drama, but even if they say they don't. So what that does is that creates a feeling of being frozen. Am I right? On most people, that would create the type of anxiety that makes you feel the freeze of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? So, I mean, it can make you feel other things too, but that type of control where you're just so stifled and it's almost like someone's sitting on your chest and you can't make a change, you can't move. You can't do anything. And every time you make an improvement, they pull you right back under even deeper with all kinds of manipulation tactics. I know for myself, I'd felt frozen and silenced. And that created so much anxiety because, as you can see, I'm pretty chatty and I like to move around and I like to talk and I like to interact and I like to smile. And all those things being stifled made me feel completely anxiety ridden, but the kind where you can't move, the kind where all you can do is sit there and shake. So what can you do about that? Well, get away from the narcissist. Number. All of this would be to say, getting away from the narcissist is the best solution. But when we can't, when we're in the situation, what can we do? Improve anyway. Just don't let them know you're doing it. You don't need to. They don't need to see your improvements. They don't need to see the way you've changed. You become cold and cut off to them, so that becomes the norm, and you keep improving your life anyway. You have to do it anyway. A lot of it is doing it anyway. It's hard. Belle says, 5 years ago, even though I was very ill, I still volunteered for hospice and requests to sit with the dying so that I had to give Reiki. Now I'm terrified to leave my home. The narcissist takes me to medical appointments. Yeah, you see, they've got you pinned under your own anxiety, right? And that's how they're controlling you. Oh, I'm sorry, Belle. Let's just keep going with anxiety and see if anything rings a bell for you and makes it easier or gives you some ideas. That's what I've been pushing myself to do, even though I'm still in it. You have to. They made us agoraphobic. They do make us agoraphobic. Can you see why? Because when someone's controlling you, silencing you, and stifling your creativity, your flow of energy, your life force, you become frozen, right? It's like I attributed it to like feeling stuck in cement and unable to get out of the cement, just completely stuck. And yeah, so I was also pathologized as mentally ill as a child, complete projection, right? It's okay. So I'm just going to keep reading what I have here and we'll keep going on with the anxiety. So, the narcissist has a job that allows him to go out during the day. He showed up twice when I was getting my hair done. It's frightening. Total control. How can you get away, my friend? How can you get away? Me and my two older siblings, everyone was crazy but them, of course. Hi, Jack. All right. So another thing that they do is a narcissist will set up situations so that there's never peace and harmony when it comes to things that are good. Anything good is an expectation of something bad around the corner. This is where we learn to fear the good, right? We learn to fear the joy and the good things in life because we know that the other shoe is about to drop, but when? We just don't know when. So that just sets it up so that the fight is always lurking. The fight is always around the corner. It's always lurking. You never know when it's going to come. You can obviously see where that would create anxiety with anyone. That's very stressful. That's a stressful, frantic anxiety. It makes me feel, I don't know about you, but it makes me feel like running. So it gives me the flight instinct. It makes me feel frantic. And then when the other shoe does drop, the fawning instinct comes in to soothe it and to make it better, right? So then, which is another anxiety, it's a symptom of PTSD, but it's also the way we manifest, we manifest anxiety and is through that. So yeah, okay. They create fear. They use your vulnerabilities against you. So if they know something about you, they will create fear around that very thing so that they have control. You can see it's all about control. When someone controls you, it is the anxiety level rises to an extreme, right? Yes, my ex constantly set himself up for failure. It was infuriating. And when I tried to prevent it, he'd fight me on it. Self-sabotaging narcissists, aren't they fun? They always destroy what you love. They do. They do. So, I can't read my writing here. Skip that one. Okay. So their lack of accountability. All right. Their lack of accountability. It makes you always on the defensive. It's part of the gaslighting, right? But it's just the simple fact of the lack of accountability completely makes it so you're always on the defensive. You're always on lookout for how you're going to have to defend yourself at any given moment. No conversation is safe. None. Because at any moment, that lack of accountability can slip in there and they can turn it into some projecting or gaslighting explosion and all over you. And at any moment, you might have to defend yourself. So you could be telling them the most lovely thing about a little bird you saw, and that could turn into some horrible argument about something. So the anxiety is always there. When are they going to turn on me? And how they can't be accountable, meaning it could be, you could simply be asking what time they're going to do a specific thing for practical reasons. And that can turn into some kind of accountability issue because they don't want to be accountable the time. And bam, they're, attacking you for asking a question. And so anxiety, right? Explain more about how anything good is an expectation of bad, please. Hi, Stacy. So anything good is an expectation of bad, meaning that if they're being nice, if they were always bad, it'd be a simple solution. Just walk away, right? So we know that they have the side of them that we cling to for hope. So the side of them that is being kind, they're being nice, they're being what looks like affectionate. Maybe they are in a good mood and they're dancing and singing and all of a sudden everything's up and happy and you're going with it. You know that any minute the other shoe is going to drop because that can't be sustained. They can't sustain it. They've proven they can't sustain it. So anytime there's anything good, we start waiting for the bad thing to happen. So even when you're happy and things are good, there's an anxiety and a tension just waiting for it to slip. Whereas if you're with someone who is consistently just happy and maybe their other mood is kind of just mellow, there's no anxiety. They're not doing anything erratic. The narcissist goes from hot to cold. And because they go from hot to cold, it's extreme and it's extremely disorienting and it's extremely fearful when you're living with it because you're always waiting for the good to turn into something bad. Is that a good explanation there? Belle says, I feel robbed of everything good and worthwhile in my life. I'm so angry. He actually tells me what I'm supposed to say to make him feel better. Me, I don't matter. Oh my gosh. I lived this, love. I know. This is hard. Are you able to come up with a plan to get out? What are you planning? What do you want? That's what I want to know. Asking their plans, a trigger for them. Scary, scary. Exactly. You can't ask their plans. Right. High fashion family. Narcissists physically look like adults, but emotionally are children. I can deal with children trying to manipulate me, but get stressed when the narcissist abuses me to try and control me. Exactly. I hate being hypervigilant all the time. That's what we're coming to. That's exactly it. Because of the control, it creates hypervigilance in us because we're always on the lookout. We have to be, because otherwise we're going to be attacked, right? I was afraid to serve too little food on a plate because she was angry about it once. Yep, it would have another dish prepared just in case she didn't like the first one. Exactly, that's another one. Maybe they're playing dumb, says E-Rock Freedom, egging you on. I was non-reactive on the outside recently, but willing myself to do so, seeing the red flags and my stomach sinking. It's awful. Yeah. And what is most confusing, says Belle, is that I do care about him. It's okay. You care about him because you care. Okay. You care about people. If you cling to that, you're allowing your empathy to be used on something that is basically a vortex of negativity. It's okay to care about them. What we need to look at is this going to be the life I want to live? Do I want to stay in this situation? It's a black hole. Exactly. It's a black hole of, there is no reciprocal energy coming back to you. There's no love and care coming back to you, regardless of what they say. They don't care for anyone. They think and strive to maintain ego. They don't care about anybody. So it's not reciprocal, which makes it very toxic for you. And I know you still see the good side to him. That's what I'm talking about. The good side is a precursor to the bad side. They are literally Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So there is no good side. The good side is the bad side. The bad side is the bad side too, because the good side is the hook that holds you there. And the bad side is the truth of who they are. Okay. And yes, you will have to endure another loss when you leave, but it's a good loss. And it's grief, but it's a good grief. And it truly is. It's difficult, and when you're ready and you get there, you will see. Okay. Let's see. No good deed goes unpunished. Heard ad nauseum. That's exactly it. Hi, Phoenix. Hi, Patrice. I love that point you make of the good being bad as well because of their intentions. Thank you for that reminder. It is the intention behind things, right? Their intention isn't to be good, in a good mood because okay, so when you go into a room and you see people kind of blah and you want to bring the mood up, you want people to feel what? You want to help people feel happy. You want the mood to be up. You want to feel good. You want them to feel good. The intention is for everybody to have a good time, right? When they're doing that, it's to show off. It's because they feel like it. It's because their mood, they want to be in a certain mood, and they want everyone around them. They want to conduct the world around them to be the delusional world that they've created in that moment. As soon as that delusional world changes and they throw on a different pair of glasses, because all they do is see the world through different lenses at each, for each situation, they have a different mask, right? As soon as that changes and they shift, they don't want to be in that anymore. Bam, no one's allowed to be in a good mood. You see, that's the difference. So the intention is everything. I have realized this a lot. I have no family, no one who can help. As a single woman and with a grown child, I have no right to help. I've tried many times. I know it's step by step. Okay. And right now, self-care maybe is where you're at. So working on self-care diligently and finding your worth, Belle. Hi, Andy. Let's see. Yes, we'll be out having a really good time, and suddenly he would invent an argument from nowhere. Oh, yeah. This behavior sometimes to put me in a state of shock, isn't it? It is. It's surprising. It sends you into sort of a dissociative shock, doesn't it? Especially in public. What happened? No good deed goes unpunished. What does that mean? It means someone's toxic. It means that, yeah. It means exactly what we're talking about. And after the good comes the bad, right? I guess that's what it means. I don't even know. Let's see. No one does something for nothing. It's transactional. I've heard that too. Right. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody's out for themselves. You have to laugh because his avatar is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He knows it then. He knows it. He knows what he's doing. What are some examples of boundary setting? High between. Give me an example of where you would need boundary setting, and I'll help you with examples of how to set a boundary in that situation. Because that's a big topic. I mean, it's like a broad topic. I'm going to keep going with this. You give me some examples of boundary questions, and I will switch over to that. So other ways they create anxiety is they pick on you. And they pick on you in one sense. So they'll cut you down, right? They'll they'll shoot you down. They'll shoot down the good things. And then at the same time, they demand perfection. So they need you to be absolutely perfect in their view of what perfect is for the situation that they're setting up to be whatever they need for that situation. And then at the same time, they'll be devaluing you and picking you apart in other ways. So they may even build you up on a pedestal in one area and knock you down everywhere else. In other words, they're creating, they're objectifying you to the point where you are nothing more than part of their delusion, right? Okay. And that's super anxiety provoking because who are you in that? You're nobody. You're nothing in that situation. It's awful. It's awful. And it's not true because you guys are all individual people with worth. So it cuts your worth down. When you have no worth, it's very difficult to not feel anxious. All right. So they'll deflect and project. We talked about that a little bit. That, well, same as gaslighting, frustrating, confusing. You want to defend yourself. The feeling of wanting to fight. So it can kick in the fight instinct. It can kick in the flight when you want to just run away from it. It can kick in the freeze when you don't know what to say and you stand there with your mouth just staring at them like, what are you talking about? As they're projecting all over you. So yeah, they ruin holidays. They ruin your birthday. They ruin anything, any beneficial, good, positive thing that's going on around them. They notoriously ruin them. So my birthdays were always love bombing to as extreme for a while, and then ignoring, and then back to love bombing with some dinner or something, going out of some sort. During that time between whatever the meal was and going home, the ruining would happen. And out would come some bizarre gaslighting, projecting, crazy bad mood as if it was just so much effort to put attention on someone else for 24 hours. And that it was just like a crashing narc tantrum of absolute bad mood. And every birthday that I had with them ended in staying up all night crying because it would end horribly every single time. And yeah, that's what they do. So that creates a ton of anxiety, right? Because oh, it's supposed to be a good day. Oh, no, this is going to be really bad. That's awful. Okay, there's lots of reasons. There's lots of ways that you can see why we're so anxious, right? You can see why the anxiety, and then you get the finger pointed. You're just anxious. You're so anxious. You go get yourself fixed. You're so anxious that you're the reason that everything's falling apart. If you weren't so anxious, if you weren't so sensitive, right? Let's see. Hi, Misty. In other words, those who help others are doomed to suffer as a result of being helpful. Exactly. That's yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, I missed the boundary question. During a conversational power struggle, the silence, gray rocking, it would be a boundary in that situation. If someone is being confrontational and giving you a power struggle within a conversation where it's not an actual conversation, it's somebody talking at you, telling you you're wrong, they're right, blah, 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 gaslighting you. If you mean with a narcissist, gaslighting you, or with a toxic person, or even just with a really strongly opinionated, kind of bullheaded person, silence and gray rocking. Gray rocking is a tool, and it's a tool that creates boundaries when we have very little control in a situation. So when a narcissist is gaslighting you, you don't have a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of room to have an actual conversation like you would wish to have with someone. There is no room for that. So the only thing you can do to set a boundary is to be silent and minimize the conversation to grunts and nods, and that's it. That's a boundary. You could say something like, I hear you need to talk about this. I'll have time later. And walking away. That's another boundary, walking away, but having some definitive words that you put in there. Another boundary might be Well, it would be specific to the situation. So there's 2. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, can you keep going? Let's see. Okay, they really I talked about how a narcissist will, play to your vulnerabilities and use them against you. Abandonment is a big one, okay? Abandonment, rejection, um, things like that tend to be anxious people's fear often. Not always, but often, okay? And they play to that just by the nature of how they relate to people because they are non-committal on a deep level, and they are highly avoidant attachment. They If you look at attachment styles, narcissists are in the avoidant attachment styles. Not all avoidant people are narcissists, but every narcissist is an avoidant attached, I believe, if I'm getting that right. If not, the majority of them are, let's put it that way. And they can be anxious avoidant, but they are definitely avoidant, in far as I know. Because they don't have accountability and they don't have empathy. So without those things, how can you attach in a healthy way at all? So, and you wouldn't attach anxiously 100% because that means you care what somebody else thinks. And the narcissist doesn't, they'll just find new supply. So, all right, it's the push-pull that they set up that really gets the anxiety going when it comes to the fear of abandonment and rejection for the survivor, right? And they push your boundaries. So back to boundaries. They will push your boundaries so that you're going against yourself. Does that make sense? They'll push your boundaries to the point where you're doing things you would not normally do. You're saying things you would not normally say. You're behaving in ways you don't wish to behave. And all of that goes against your own self so that you lose the connection with your self-worth and your self-value and your own morality, your own inner code that you live by. It twists all that up. Of course, that creates anxiety because you're not living true to yourself when you're with a narcissist. You cannot live true to yourself because you got to live for the other person. You're living for the narcissist when you're with them, right? You're not living for yourself. So you can't be true. It's super anxiety provoking. It's all control and it's terrible. It's terrible to live with. So, you're getting a clue as to where I'm going with how to help with this anxiety. It's about self. It's about taking it back. All right. And the other way that I thought is in their silence. When they give you the silent treatment, who doesn't feel anxious when someone is being silent? Unless you've learned that the silence is golden. It just means they're not talking at you, right? But no, it hurts. The silent treatment is received by your brain in the same place that physical pain is. So it's actually painful to have someone be silent in that way, with using it as manipulation in that way. And it creates anxiety and what does it do? For a lot of us, it makes us fawn, which is, the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. It makes us fawn. It makes us apologize and beg and try to talk to them and make it better and be silly and, be the people pleaser. It makes us be the people pleaser. So you can see how being with a narcissist is the perfect recipe for someone with anxiety to live out their own anxiety over and over and over again in every form that anxiety takes. It goes into all fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. You can see how each piece affects each part of you, or could affect each part of anxiety with you. So what do you do? I'm going to read some what you guys say. What do you guys do for anxiety? So now we've talked about them. Let's talk about us, as I say every day. Whoa, getting blurry there. All right. Let's see. Lise, we go silent because we don't know what to do. They do it, like you said, intentionally. Right. We do it. We do it intentionally too through gray rocking, but the intent behind it is to diffuse the situation. Theirs is to actually hurt you. They know it hurts you. They know that it's gets them their way. Let's put it that way. You do gray rock to help with anxiety. You count red things to calm your anxiety. So you count a certain amount of things of a certain color, and kind of bring yourself down through looking at things that are going on around you. Is that what you're saying, Misty? You divert your attention out of yourself into the world around you and count things, so it brings you back to a calmer place. Daniel, hi. I need my own space to process this crap. She couldn't handle taking space and time to myself, even for an afternoon without texting. Yeah. That's another way they smother you. They control you through the constantly need for supply from you. That's right. And they don't give you your space. But then they can twist it around and make it look like you're the one who doesn't give anybody any space, because they're always just taking off, which makes you anxious. It's another thing. They just take off. They just do whatever they want. And that totally makes you anxious. They set things up so that it looks like they're cheating, or they are cheating. That makes you anxious. They flirt with people so you don't know whether they're being, what's going on. That's totally the whole nature, the whole dynamic of being with a narcissist is anxiety provoking, is what I'm getting at. I could go on for hours about the different ways that they make you anxious, but we'll stop there and we'll talk about what to do about it. They're always there in some form. They are, because they're twisted in your thoughts. They're twisted into all of you, right? So they're always there. They permeate everything. Oh, okay. I love the red things. That's brilliant, says Belle to Misty. Okay. 5 sensory meditation. That's good. So meditations of any kind are good, right? Wait. Scorp, I don't understand. How can someone be so evil? Is that what you're saying? Because they don't have empathy. And without empathy, we don't care if someone doesn't have empathy, they don't care what other people feel. They truly, truly don't. It's not a matter of, but they should. Yeah, they should, but they don't. They don't care. They don't care. They care only about their own gains in this world. And that's it. And they may look like they have compassion for certain things and certain causes, but it's not the same as having empathy. Having empathy is truly relating to somebody else's emotional experience, right? Or their physical, what they're going through to me, it's going what somebody else is experiencing on many levels, not just, wow, that looks like it hurts because I know what it feels like to hurt. They'll do that. Sure, some of them, but to truly know what someone's, oh my gosh, that person's hurting. They must feel, I wonder what they feel. Do they feel like, scared? Do they feel, you go into their emotions. I wonder what they're thinking about, connecting to other people. They don't have it. They don't. So that's why it looks evil, because it's lacking the thing that makes humanity human. Right. Okay. They do become ugly. That's right. Their own image, finding people to support their delusional stories, resulting in character assassination. That's right. Okay. All right. So working on self-doubt, you can see how a lot of this sets up self-doubt, because especially if you're still living in it, everything that they're doing is to diminish yourself, they're trying to turn you into an object that serves the delusional world that they're setting up around them. So if they need the world to believe that they are a chef, then they will set up the world to make it seem like they're a really good cook, even if they're not. Does that make sense? Like it's that extreme. Like they set up this delusional, if they need it to look like they are extremely smart, then they need you to be extremely dumb, or they need you to be the utmost perfection of intelligence, so that it looks like they only have association with people of very high intelligence, and yet they get to still be the one who's on top in that situation. Does that make sense? Like they need, and you're just being you, right? You don't care if where your intelligence level lies, amongst other people. You're just being you, but they need you to be a certain thing. And so they're setting up this delusional world, and it's extremely um, impossible to live up to. It's impossible. It's super anxiety provoking because it's not you. You're not even getting to be you. You're having to be a role, play a role in their delusion. Confusing and massively disorienting to the brain. Okay. I meditate a lot. I write down and get out the feelings, burn the paper, wrote and read self-worthless, add to it as you rebuild it. That's perfect. Exactly. Because it's getting a sense of self again and getting a sense of who you are. And what did you say here? Yeah, about your self-worth. It's finding the strengths that you have. When we're anxious, we don't particularly feel very strong, do we? Most of us. We either feel really flighty and really fast, or we feel weak and collapsed, or it doesn't feel strong. So it's finding your strengths and finding a way to combat all of this muck that the narcissist is feeding your brain and programming into you. Okay. I'm realizing my current anxiety has been with me since childhood. He just re-triggered it. Uh-huh. And did you have a childhood that set up this kind of thinking that you're not good enough, that you don't have worth, is there a reason? Or is it just, I mean, there is anxiety. Some people are just anxious, right? And that can be helped medically. It can be helped through therapy. It can be helped through all kinds of relaxation techniques and coping skills. Some of us are just wired to be anxious. I think I'm one. But I also have PTSD from childhood, so I don't know that I'll ever know if it's just me or my programming, right? Let's see. We need to find who we want to be. Yes, I think of it as our chance to rebrand. Angela, that's lovely. That's right. Okay. High quality CBD oil is useful over medication. Haven't tried it. Got anxiety and depression. Well, I mean, you can see why, right? Can you hear what is going on? So some self-care is super important, especially if you're still with a narcissist, but actually always. And what does that mean to you? What does it mean to use self-care? It is creating a lifestyle where you become as important as everybody else. It's building your self-worth. And it's the way you can do that are really simple things like paying attention to where you do take care of yourself and adding more to it. Actually including yourself in the decision-making process when you have decisions to make instead of everybody else first. Paying attention to your needs, setting boundaries, all of those things can help towards self-care. And as you work on building that, the anxiety level can diminish slightly and more over time. Acute anxiety, things like, breathing exercises, doing what Misty suggested with pointing out, when she said red things, you could choose any color. It doesn't matter. Red's good because it's harder to find red things and you kind of have to hunt for it. It's like Easter egg hunt, it takes your attention off what you're doing and you can get into it. Crossword puzzles, that's Andy's saying on your phone. That's perfect too. Number puzzles, word puzzles, a puzzle, things that take you out of the whole experience of the anxiety and focuses the energy somewhere else. I talked a little bit about anxiety yesterday. So basically when you're full of anxiety, your executive function is full from the get-go. So that's why we get the foggy brain and we get the feeling of disoriented. I can't totally overwhelmed by the simplest little things. High web education, like how everything feels like I can't even, I think it's part of what triggers the agoraphobia too, because everything is overwhelming. You're just overwhelmed all the time. So the stimulation of the world outside is just too much. Plus the fear of, other people and judgment and all the stuff besides all that. But just in itself being highly anxious. And basically you got a baseline, right? And if your baseline's way up here, you only got a tiny bit of room left to play with all day. And so the whole aim is to get your baseline down and calm yourself down. Calm yourself down when you're not wound up. If you wait till you're wound up, it's very difficult to calm down. If you start doing things like self-care, ideas, and there are whole videos on, I've done like 5 minimally on recently on self-care. So go watch those. And throughout your day, when you're not wound up, when you're not feeling the anxiety to the extreme, then you are lowering the baseline so that you have way more room to play before you hit the ceiling. Does that make sense? Anxiety, I talked about yesterday, the triangle of the mind, the body, and the emotions, and that they like to stay in a little triangular shape. This is just an imagery. It's not actual, right? So if you imagine, they like to stay in a little triangular shape. They're attached to movable pegs by rubber bands. If you pull one, you pull your mind upward toward the ceiling of anxiety, and you pull your emotions at the same time, like your thoughts go, oh gosh, he's gonna, she's gonna, or this is gonna, whatever. You go into the thought part of anxiety. Your emotions attach to that and go, yeah, I know what that feels like. And they immediately put you in the state as if you're already there, as if the thing's already happened, because that's what anxiety is, right? It's pulling the past into the future and bypassing right now. And as if both of those pull up, the body has to follow, and you go into panic, and you go into the sweating and the racing heart and the can't breathe and the feeling dizzy and all of that stuff. So they work together. So the aim is to pull them back down, body, mind, and then let the emotions follow. That's what I learned with anxiety. And I shared that yesterday. I'm showing it again today because it's important. So things like crossword puzzles, looking for things that are a certain color, using your senses. So in other words, find something that you like to smell and go smell it, things that bring you into your body. Meditation, taking a walk, taking a run, going to a kickboxing class, whatever it is, moving your body can help bring that baseline down, because once the body starts going, and then if you can direct your mind once it starts to calm down. Your mind feels like it's racing because it's clinging to the emotional part. Your mind is you're actually capable of directing your thoughts to some extent toward what you want to think about. You can distract yourself. You can be distracted. Distraction's not bad in this situation. You can, so as you're on your walk and you're still thinking about all the things you're anxious about. No, I'm actually going to think about what's right in front of me. I'm gonna look at all the millions of shades of green I see. There are so many shades of green here in this forest or wherever you are, and use your mind to do that. Let it wander back, but keep pulling it back and start directing it. And as you do that, the emotions tend to chill out a little and can kind of come on board. Not always, but the aim is over time that it will, right? And it's kind of like being mindful throughout your day. And mindfulness meditations is another way. What are you guys saying here? Journaling is really good. It gets your thoughts and your feelings out on paper. And then if you can let it go after you've journaled and take a breath and do something else, that's even better, so that you get it out, you allow yourself to feel validated, and then you can move forward, right? Look for areas where you're people pleasing and just stop. Right? We don't need more anxiety of trying to make everything right for everybody else. All right. What else here? So what else with anxiety, you guys? What helps? Tell me what helps you. Water. A lot of people like water. A lot of people like, let's see. There's can you hear that thumping? My children sound like elephants right now. Okay. Kind of have to force myself, but I always feel better after when you do what? I missed it. All right. Yes, total pattern interrupt. Exactly. Okay. The people pleasing. I found I can catch it in motion. Excellent. Yeah, it's just more of the fawning, right? If you think of it from an anxiety standpoint, it's fawning, and people pleasing is. So if you're working to reduce your anxiety, then reduce some of that stuff, set some boundaries so that you're not people pleasing. Watching the birds in nature helps you. Listening to the birds, maybe feeling nature as the breezes blow, getting into the present time. So what I was saying is anxiety pulls the past into the future and bypasses the now. That's how I see it. That's how I feel it. That's how I experience anxiety. Is it's pulling some fear from the past. It's pulling some known danger all the way through the present time into the future because it's projecting out what's going to happen, right? At least this is how it is for me. So if I am doing that, I'm missing the mark. I'm missing right now. If I can bring myself back to right now and realize nothing's actually happening. Okay, if something is happening, then you cope in the moment. And that's what I was talking about, the narcissist and different understanding what it is they're doing so you can figure out ways to cope with each piece, or we can talk about it if you have questions about each piece. But if you can bring yourself when nothing is actually happening, it's just the feeling of anxiety because of all of the stresses, bringing yourself back into the moment is quite useful. Anxiety doesn't live here long. Okay. Do you believe in Myers-Briggs type? Yes, I do believe in the Myers-Briggs type, and I fully love studying them. So do I find certain types are more susceptible to narcissists and anxiety? Haven't thought about it. Definitely certain types are more tolerant of narcissists. I don't know about susceptible. I never know if that word is, I don't know that we're susceptible or tolerant. Certain types are more people pleasing. I think certain types are more accommodating. There's some super accommodators out there. Certain types want to smooth everything over. And then there's us INFJs where we just want to understand everything. We want to understand the whole of human nature and how people interact. So the tolerance is very high because the narcissist it's very hard to understand, right? When you're living with it. So it keeps us there with this. So yeah. And anxiety probably, I would say some types probably have more, but I haven't looked at it. So yeah, I haven't looked at it from anxiety standpoint. I have thought about it from self-care standpoint before. So let's see. Okay. All right. Andy saying, if we're not careful, feeling anxious can become a bit of a habit also. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. If your baseline goes up because you are constantly feeling anxious, then the habit to be anxious is in there, and you need to bring the baseline down. That means you need to bring what is normal. You need to create a new normal. Instead of it being way the heck up here, it needs to come way down here. And the way you can do that is through, mindfulness, the things we're talking about. Yep, hit the 50 minutes. My brain stops. Okay. Pattern interrupting, changing your thinking, getting exercise, eating well, cutting out caffeine, the things that can help with anxiety that are, we can say over and over again. I think it's important to understand it though, too. Okay. We can feel something else and distracting ourselves. Pattern changing negative mindsets. Right. Pattern change the negative mindset. And that's exactly it. Bringing your mind on board instead of letting your emotions rule your mind. Does that make sense? With anxiety. So, okay. You have a baby monarch in your garden, almost like coming to say all will be well. How pretty. Take a picture. If you can. You're an INFJ. Yeah, see? So you get it. Your dog calms me. That's another one. Having friends and pets and positivity around you is calming. It starts with an I and ends with a J. Okay. ISFJ. You guys are cool too. Okay. INFPs. All right. Go take it again. 16personalities.com. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's the N types. No, some S types too. Because the SFJs, the ES, the accommodator, the council. What are they? ESFJs. The ISFJs and the ESFJs are also, basically I see in coaching a handful of types, and that's what INFPs, INFJs, ENFPs, ENFJs, ISFJs, ESFJs, a little less. I think the extroversion helps them be more, well, no, I think they just tolerate more in a different way. They're really laid back usually. Okay. Can't think of the others that are commonly in coaching. Anyway, now I'm just spacing off. Okay. We could totally have a Myers-Briggs test. Give me some ideas on what to talk about with it. Okay, what else, you guys? Any questions about anxiety as it relates to narcissistic abuse? Any other tips you can offer other people? I didn't give a whole lot of tips here. I should probably have done more with that, but I'm hitting my wall here. So I'll do more another time with that. Okay. Anything? Say more about bringing your mind on board. Okay. So you know how when you have a reaction to something and you're anxious, you feel like something's going to happen. You feel like, I don't know, give me an example of something you're anxious about. You're an INFP. Could have guessed that. Scenery. Okay. Something you might be anxious about might be a test. There you go. You're anxious about a test. Okay. So so it's performance anxiety. It's perfectionism. It's you're feeling something about a belief. You're believing something. I believe I'm going to do bad. I believe that if I do bad, that means I'm a bad person. I believe that, it's all the things you're believing. It's all the emotional response to the thing that's helping the anxiety raise up. Otherwise, if it was just a thought of like, oh, I could do bad, I could do good, who cares? It's when the emotions get involved that the anxiety feels like a whole lot more, right? So if we're thinking about our emotions, our body, and our mind all being connected and staying together at whatever level they're at with anxiety, like your body's not going to stay calm while the rest of you is freaking out. Your body's going to start having a reaction unless you're super trained at it. And then it's a little scary. But I mean, I think we can do that. But I mean, even like picture like a race car driver or somebody that has to do precision things at high speed, life or death. Their adrenaline's pumping. They're full of anxiety. It's not bad anxiety. It's the kind of anxiety that gets the job done, right? We need that anxiety. But when it gets out of control, when it becomes taking over our life and when it becomes destructive and it's not being used for something productive or a goal, that's when there's a problem, right? So you get your mind engaged by looking at things logically, by looking at the situation logically. It's a test. It's one day of my life. I may fail, I may pass. I am as prepared as I can be. You look at the facts and the logical things to help your mind take over a little versus letting the emotions always be the one to lead. Does that make sense? And then calm your body at the same time. Wow, I still feel really anxious. I need a walk. And if you can do that while you're walking, even better. So, okay, what's Belle saying? She said something awesome here. Oh, where did you say that's awesome? I can't find it. Okay. I missed it. It must be way back there, and I'm sorry. Okay. Keep going. Going to a lake and looking at trees, feeling the wind, taking a bath with oils. Those are self-care and self-calming. Understanding, okay, here's a good point. If you don't know what nurtures you, figure it out. Web Education just listed a list of things that sounds like to them feel nurturing and feel calming. If you don't know what it is, then you get to experiment with things. You can try other people's suggestions. If you don't know how to do something, you strategize by trying things other people do. People who are successful with something, that's why we like motivational speakers. That's why we like mentors and, people who have lived through something before us because they have strategies. When we're offering you strategies, like from a coaching perspective, we're not telling you it's going to work. We're telling you try it, see if it works. What do you think? Try it on, because I don't know what's going to work for each person, right? You know what will work for you. And if you don't know, you figure it out, you find it. It's part of the self-discovery that comes from living through this abusive situation. And being so broken down after a narcissist means that you get to build yourself back up through discovering all these lovely things about yourself. I have a bay near me with ducks and swans on it. You see, I like nature too for that. It's nourishing and calming. Fountains, tranquil sounds. Okay, so you're very sensory. So you can see that you're very sensory and you're very calming things for your senses. Other people might like really loud music. Maybe that's calming. You know what I mean? Like it just depends on the person. So figure it out. What actually calms you? What do you need? If you don't know, start asking yourself questions. What do I need right now? When you're in the middle of feeling stressed out, what do I need right now? Not what don't I need, not what's going on, not what's bad, but what do I need? And no need to be sorry. You've got it. ISFJ. Okay, ISFJ. I don't know that type very well. What's the I'll look it up. I'll look it up after. I'm not going to pull out my phone right now. All right. So, all right. Any other questions before we end today, or any other ideas for helping people calming anxiety, or words of how to cope if they're in the middle of anxiety? Sometimes I just need to lay down. Oh, yes. Quiet. Silence. Oh, laying still. That's mine. Oh my gosh. I don't want to acknowledge that I'm tired and feel weak. I get speedy when I get anxious. And yes, yeah, I get you. Yes, I totally get that. That's how I get ramped up, speedy, full blast. And then I need to curl up. Yes, and sleep. It's so good. So give yourself it. Instead of saying to yourself, this is where you can work on using your mind over this. Look at that. You just stated a belief that I'm tired and feel weak, that there's something wrong with that. It's okay to be tired and feel weak for a moment. You're tired and you're weak because you just had an adrenaline dump and you just were spinning around, running all over the place, right? Totally normal to feel tired and weak, even shaky or fatigued or sick even. I've had times where I felt like I was getting sick and all I needed to do was lay down for 15 minutes and I was fine. So it is real, and there's no reason to attach a belief to it because it's real. So what? Just let it be. Go do the thing you need. Why do we judge taking care of ourselves? Because we're taught to, right? So take that back. I ask questions about the other person. Is that it, Lise? Tell me what. Ask that again, Belle. I'm not understanding. Yep, it is like the crash. It's true. All right. I've had to head out. Grace always. Oh, goodbye, Nikki. I want to add that when I ask questions of others, it is sincere. I really want to know. Oh, of course. You're totally allowed to ask questions of others. I missed something. I'm sorry. Sorry, Belle. I'm at my hour point and my mind goes, okay, just been talking for an hour and you're an introvert. So it's time to wrap it up. Say goodbye to the lovely people and come back another day. All right. Anything else you guys want to add? If not, I will end here. I hope that gave some help for this. I realized it wasn't 100% what to do with anxiety. It's understanding the situation, I think, is important. Understanding why it happened so that you can find ways to nurture the parts of yourself that have been diminished by the narcissist, right? Look at each of the pieces. You know, if gaslighting is diminishing your self-trust, build your self-trust. Until you start to become whole inside yourself again, the anxiety we're not living our full, authentic self, right? So of course it's anxious. So calming, grounding, knowing you're okay, you're a good person, and you're worth it. All right. I said I get stressed when I socialize, and Belle said to ask them questions. Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Got it. Sorry. See, I missed it. I know the answer, but I have to hear it again. Was this real? Was what real? The narcissistic abuse? Yes. If everything you've described, yes. It was real. What you experienced was real. It's real. Unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, trust yourself. Trust your experience. That's what I'm getting at. Trust your experience is yours. Trust it. It doesn't matter what we label the other person. Toxic is toxic, right? It doesn't matter if we know what they are. Um, None of that matters. What matters is how we were treated and how we felt about it. And that, yes, it was real. It really is. I know that feeling because we're really good at accommodating others and we're really good at um, having a very high tolerance. So if you're in a moment where that high tolerance is sort of rearing its head, then it feels like it wasn't real, right? But when you get in the moments of lower tolerance for other people's crap, then you remember how real it really was, right? Okay, you guys, you have a good day. If you have not hit subscribe, do so if you enjoy these live streams and get the notifications. If you need or would like text notification, text me at 33222. Put the words Lise Live, LISE, all one word, and I will send you a text 5 to 10 minutes prior to going live. That is the only text I send. And if you enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up, please, so I know which topics are useful to you. And you guys take care. Be well. Have a good weekend. I may or may not be here on the weekend. I will try. If I am, then I am. Sorry about that, but can't promise, but I will try. I will talk to you guys later. You guys take care. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate your chats. You guys are amazing.